Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here. We are finishing the story. This is the finale. This is the season finale of season 2 of Uncaged. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today, as always, is my top dog, my boy, DC Daniel Crimmins. So, Daniel, what do you want to talk about?
You stole what I was going to say.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeet. We're going to talk about Yeet on this episode. So where we left off in the last episode, because we wanted to make this a two-parter, folks, because there was a lot to cover in the last one. We are here at the AEW run of Cody Rhodes. This is 2019 to 2022, and then the current WWE run. And yeah, man, so the best place for me to start is, first of all, you're in its inception with AEW. 2019 was a very interesting year for Cody. Let's talk about the Young Bucks against Cody and Dustin. And let's talk about, I don't need a friend. I don't need a tag team partner. I need my brother. What were your thoughts on the Young Bucks against Cody and Dustin? And then we get the infamous Cody-Dustin match, Bleeding Buckets. What a classic. What a story.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about, Cody versus Dustin. That is what they should have had in WWE.
Agreed. I mean, we talked about it on the last show, dude. Like, what they had at Fastlane 2015 was so mediocre and piss poor to what we got here a mere 4 years after that.
Like, they're the sons of Dusty Rhodes. Like, they can do promos. They both can do promos. Hell, Goldust. Like, you tell me any other person that could have gotten that character over and got it to work.
You couldn't, and I mean...
And from what I remember, Dustin wasn't even the original choice for Goldust.
I don't remember the original choice, but
you know what was?
Who was it?
It was Terry Taylor.
Oh, you're kidding! The Red Rooster.
It wouldn't have worked.
Oh no. Well, that's my thing, and as I'm thinking about it, as you're discussing it here, like the androgynous style, I cannot see Terry Taylor doing what we got from Goldust. Absolutely not. But no, he fit like a hand in glove with it. I mean, he's the son of Dusty Rhodes. He has charisma, he has a personality.
Oh yeah,
and he got a chance to show it. But when you get to Dustin here in 2019 with Cody, it's like, again, like a man at his age, he gets better and better with time. You know what I'm saying?
And he still can perform at that high level.
Yes, and him and Cody had a point to prove. Like, hey, they didn't let us do this in WWE. Let's fucking do it here, and they killed it. Like,
absolutely. And it's when you look at certain people, like the Rhodes family, Dusty was still wrestling up until I think his 50s. Like, I think he had a couple matches in ECW.
Yeah, like, so 2000 was the Steve Corino feud, and then I remember 2007 was the Randy Orton match, and I think 2006 was the Team Survivor Series match, and he wrestled Nikki, aka Nick Nemeth, on Raw. So, I mean, he had like a couple here and there.
Yeah. And, looking at Cody, the Cody that we have now is leaps and bounds over the Cody that we had in, what was it, 2009, 2010-ish?
Yeah, when he started moving from Legacy to Dashing Cody Rhodes.
And even when he first came in, like, he was bland. Or, as the greatest world champion in all professional wrestling right now would say, he was mid.
Yes, he most certainly was mid. My thing with that too is, like, again, we talked about last time, coming out to the generic music, the black tights. He was just whatever, you know what I'm saying? And again, we'll talk about the documentary here on today's show as well. But it's like that.
Whoa.
It's
been in literally all of his themes except
for Stardust
one.
Yep, except for the Stardust theme. Yep.
But they were different people.
Different people, of course. But yeah, no, that's what I loved. I mean, the start of 2019 with him, like we mentioned here, like, also this was the year of him smashing the throne, which
and all in.
Oh my god, dude! Like, that smashing of the throne was so iconic. Like, people still talk about it. Just what were your initial thoughts when he did that? Because this was the match with Shawn Spears, I believe, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was like, oh, so we're going there then.
Mm-hmm.
It was important for AEW, Tony Khan, all of them, to differentiate themselves from WWE and what that was. Is this the same AEW? No. They evolved. Everybody's got to evolve. Impact had to evolve. New Japan is not where they were, 10, 20, however many years ago. Nobody is. Like, we're all constantly changing. But with those first couple AEW shows, you had fans that were thinking, like, is this going to be like a WCW kind of thing? Is this going to be, TNA? What is this going to be? And I think smashing that throne was like, okay, this is what it is. This is going to be something different. And as an aside, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that first meeting between Triple H and Cody when Cody went back.
So, you want to smash my throne, huh?
So, about that throne.
Right? Well, I think they've made peace and they're in good places now.
Oh,
But yeah, that was an interesting time. And I mean, you really wanted to assert yourself as the alternative, that being AEW. And I mean, let's talk about the feud itself, because he goes from those infamous matches then to Sean Spears smacking that chair over his head, which was, oh my God. But what were your thoughts on the Sean Spears feud?
I think that was another thing. Both guys had something to prove. You have Sean Spears, who honestly nowadays he's somebody that should be main eventing WWE right now.
I mean, they had something with the Perfect 10 character.
Exactly. It was getting old, but then again, it's another example of something getting over organically with the crowd and Vince just shitting all over everything.
I mean,
Miro, look at, Miro Day, Rusev Day, all of that. It was working.
I think he came a long way from. So here's how I remember early Sean Spears. Like we talked about last time, him and Cody as a team in OVW. We had him as Gavin Spears in the new ECW for like a cup of coffee when he was Gavin Spears. Then he got released. Then he came back as his Perfect 10 gimmick in NXT. And I'm like, okay, this is different. And then it got over with the 10, 10, and 10. And he was in the Royal Rumble. He was going for the
number 10.
At number 10. He was going for the U.S. title. He was in the mix, but then nothing, which is a shame, because I think in today's day and age with Triple H being at the forefront, I mean, you could easily make him into a star that he really rightfully deserves to be.
Absolutely. And if you noticed, a lot of the people that are in AEW that came from WWE, whether it's NXT, Raw, SmackDown, whatever, were Triple H hires that he had brought into NXT, and all amazing, all amazing talents. Like Miro should have been a WWE champion, should have been a Universal champion, whatever. The guy had charisma, and people like Gavin Spears, Sean Spears, people like Buddy Murphy, Malachi Black, like the list goes on and on and on and on. And I wonder, with Cody being as successful as he has been in WWE, who's next?
Man,
More people are going to jump. It's the nature of the business. You're going to have people that are going to continue to jump from WWE to AEW. You're going to have people from AEW that are going to jump to WWE. It's going to happen. It's inevitable.
Man, I mean, I saw those training videos with Jade Cargill, and I mean, you saw Ricky Starks training with her as well. And I'm like, man, Ricky Starks could be an interesting addition to WWE when his contract does come up, if he decides to jump ship.
I wouldn't be shocked if he did. We had announced yesterday that, Will Ospreay is signed to AEW, which, if you're surprised over that, but back to the Sean Spears feud was fantastic. That chair shot was a little
Stiffsky, little. What was it? What was he trying to say at the time? Tony Khan, it was a gimmick chair, and something faulty happened with the chair, and I'm like, bro, he literally hit him right in the freaking face, in the head.
I mean, they've had some questionable chair shots. I mean, you think Sammy Guevara versus Matt Hardy?
Yeah, or even recently Don Callis with Kenny Omega when they tied him up and he got him right in the head.
Yeah.
Guys, you can't be doing that now. Like CTE and all this
Ask
stuff.
Ask Mick Foley how he felt after Royal Rumble 2. Was it 99?
99. Yeah.
That he doesn't remember that match.
And he's had memories of just like, he's talked about it in his book, just driving past his house, forgetting where he lives. Like, it happens, man, like with how concussions are and everything. And I mean, that's what we really saw in the early stages of AEW, where it got a lot of criticism. Like you mentioned, Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara continuing that match after Matt Hardy got dropped on his dome piece. You know what I'm saying? It's had questionable stuff. And I mean, we'll talk about AEW through the forum since we are in the AEW right now. But man, he goes from Dustin, he goes from now Sean Spears, and then he goes into the thing with Chris Jericho, and he calls him a fucking dick, and undesirable to ungoddamn deniable, like an amazing promo. It got me into him and Jericho, and if Cody won, he can never challenge for the AEW title again. What were your thoughts on the Jericho feud?
I thought it was two guys who had not truly been appreciated by WWE. And again, you can say, well, Jericho's a multi-time champion. Well, yes, he was, but he was never the top dog. In all of his reigns, he was always second fiddle.
I mean, you got to also remember here, Daniel, like this was 2 years after him and Kevin Owens had that Mania match, which I think Vince has got to be blind if he thought that was the worst match in WrestleMania history, number one. And number two, you put that on second, which Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho for the Universal title should have been the match, but they went with Brock and Goldberg. And I mean, dude, you had a U.S. title run at the end there. Then, of course, we're actually coming upon 6 years now, 7 years of the Alpha versus Omega, him and Jericho, Omega and Jericho from Wrestle Kingdom. But I'm like, you're in 2019 now with Chris Jericho. He's got the Inner Circle. They're one of the top heel stables there. Chris is the champ. They're gone TNT. We're in the Dynamite era as it starts. And him and Cody, man, they've wrestled, I believe, a few times in the WWE. I'm sure they've had a couple matches there.
Yeah.
But going into full gear and everything, and of course you had Maxwell Jacob Friedman there. Cody's my best friend. That whole entire match from start to finish was just a roller coaster ride. And then he throws in the towel. He kicks him in the ding. And then we have Cody and MJF off to races like that. So you have the great feud with Jericho. Both men have a lot to prove, which is really what is summarizing and really kind of what exemplifies what AEW was at this particular junction. So I have to ask you, we go from Cody and Chris, and then we get to Cody and MJF. But before we get to that, pandemic strikes, Earth shuts down. What were your thoughts on Cody makes the speech? We're going to still entertain you even through everything that's going on in the world. We're into pandemic time here. So what were your thoughts on AEW and putting the wrestlers in the crowd? And we started to get some people in the crowd. What were your thoughts on how they handled the pandemic era?
I enjoyed that. I thought it was something different. They made it work. They had Daly's place, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think Tony Khan or should I say
Shad Khan.
Shahid or Shad Khan.
Yep.
The Khans own that building, I think.
Yes.
So it worked. It wasn't like WWE where their options were Performance Center
or
Tropicana Stadium.
Right. And I mean,
it's funny, just as an aside,
yep.
Royal Rumble this year is at Tropicana Field.
They got to make some mention to the Thunderdome, man. Yeah. They got to have a funny line to talk about it, They got to say something. I think it would be funny, but
they do.
What's that?
They've got to do it. They have to.
Okay. Well, my thing too is I think you can agree also at the time. I think watching both shows, it was hard for me with WWE because when you have literally nobody sitting there, it was rough to try to sit there.
It's absolutely.
AEW, at least they had fun interactions. It was something different to add something.
We had Sammy Guevara singing Judas.
Oh God, and he was so off key with it.
He was that was his goal. He was trying to do that. He wasn't trying to be, serious. He was being his goofy, nerdy self.
I mean, you had to do something. And I mean, for me, what AEW did, it gave us the start of Cody and MJF. And I mean, we would get that later on in the year. But my thing here is Cody Rhodes enters into 2020. It's a very interesting year for Cody Rhodes in 2020. Before we get to MJF, let's start first with this one. Cody's out in the ring. He's cutting a promo, and this woman comes out. Never seen her before in your life. It's Jade Cargill, and now here we see Jade Cargill now, who's signed the WWE, the talk of the town, if you will. And then Brandy comes out, cuts this promo on her, calling her a heifer. Who told you it was open mic night, bitch? And I have someone who's going to go after you, Cody, and his name is Shaq. And you forget Shaquille O'Neal. Before we even get to that, what were your thoughts on the Jade Cargill debut? And we didn't know who the hell she was, and Cody cutting that promo.
Yeah, no.
You know, see, Brandy made it for me because she just went out there and went buck wild. Like, it was a poor debut because I think you could even say to me, you and I were both looking at her like, who the hell is this?
Yeah.
I've never seen this woman before in my life.
As an aside, I like Brandy Rhodes. I do. You know, she got caught a lot of flack.
Yeah.
But I got to give her credit for the infamous Dan Lambert promo.
Oh, my God. The Dan Lambert promo.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, where she made fun of him just for being a dick and everything that he collects and whatnot. Oh,
saying, you're a black belt.
I'm a black bitch.
Like, and she's not doing anything wrestling related anymore, and good for her. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would have liked to have seen her do something.
I mean, the vignettes with her and Shaq and pouring water on him and just everything that went into that feud. So I have to ask, what were your thoughts on, well, it was originally supposed to be Brandy, but I believe Brandy was pregnant at the time, right? She gotten pregnant?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's when they had the kid. So it turned into, Daniel, Cody Rhodes and her replacement, Red Velvet, against Shaq and Jade Cargill. The infamous Cody Rhodes put Shaq through the table. What were your thoughts on the AEW debut of Shaquille O'Neal and that matchup?
No.
You weren't a fan of it either?
No.
No. I mean, yeah.
There are certain memories which I have tried of matches that I've tried to purge from my brain.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Okay.
And the infamous Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley barbed wire match.
The Sparklers. The Sparklers. Like I said, 2020 was
They must have got him from Gilbert.
2020 was very much an interesting year for AEW. But yeah, I mean, Cody goes from that, and then he gets into a feud with QT Marshall, and then we get that feud, which fine. And I mean, that was fine, but you know what it led to? And it led to one of the worst matches ever, one of the worst weigh-ins ever with him and Anthony Wake Me Up Before You Will Go. So what were your thoughts on QT Marshall and Anthony Go-Go? He feuded with the Nightmare Factory. He cut that promo about America. My daughter, you know, I told her about living in a world where everything was free and, you know, she could say what she wanted, live in this world, and, you know, her being African-American. And he cut like this America the Beautiful promo. He represents America. He's the heart of America. What were your thoughts on Cody Rhodes and the Nightmare Factory feud with QT Marshall and Anthony Wake Me Up Before You Will Go?
I can't get into QT. I can't.
Man. You know, he's actually going to be on Long Island, like I believe next week. He's wrestling for the New York Wrestling Connection on Deer Park, Long Island. They got him for a show.
We actually, one of the indie promotions up here in Buffalo, we actually have, it may have happened this past week, I'm not sure, EC3 coming. I think last night we had Heath Slater or Heath Miller.
Heath. Not to be confused with Heath.
Now, I got to go off on a tangent here.
Go ahead.
If we can get Dustin back in WWE, even if it's just for a one-off as Goldust, Cody being Stardust one last time, have them team with Jey Uso, but not Jey Uso. Hear me out.
Go ahead.
Yeet Dust.
Yeet.
Yeet Dust.
Yeet Dust.
One night only.
One night only. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so
the Dust Factory.
The Dust Factory. I like it. So yes,
Vince would book that.
Vince, absolutely. That would be a Vince McMahon incarnation, if you will. But yeah, so we get him and QT Marshall. That match was the shits. Then we get him and Anthony Ogogo, and that match and feud was the shits. The weigh-in was even worse. But
a lot of shit.
They tried. Like, they really tried with Cody around like the summertime. Like, they really, really did. Like, his 2020 again was a lot of Orange Cassidy. He's gonna try to make this work, and he tried his darndest, but no. And then we get to what was very good. Him and God rest his soul, the one and only Mr. Brody Lee.
That whole feud was incredible.
I mean, he squashes him for the TNT title. They beat him up. He comes back. Didn't he come back?
Destroys the title.
Yes. And didn't he come back with the black hair? Like, for one time? He came back with the black hair.
I think so. And then he died. And of course, this was, he had also had the tattoo from hell.
Yes, this was the debut of the neck tattoo. Again, I don't know what possessed him, but hey, it's a thing now. It's a thing.
Tequila?
Probably. Did he have a libation or two?
With oot.
With oot? Yeet. It's never going to go away.
No.
So
I'm telling you, yeet dust.
Yeet dust. He goes into this amazing feud with Mr. Brody Lee. It ends up with the dog collar match, which, if you've not seen it, go out of your way because it's epic. It was so good, dude.
Actually, I think that was Brody's last match.
Yes, before his passing, it was his last match.
And I will tell you, like, dog collar matches, you don't see them often. They're typically bloody, which, that one was.
Mm-hmm.
That was well done.
I mean, we talk about the days from the 80s with the Piper and the Greg the Hammer Valentine, and then we got one with MJF and CM Punk, but this one was just, like, they destroyed his title. He squashed him. The Dark Order was not comedy Dark Order like we see now. It was serious. It was like, Mr. Brody Lee at the head. But it was so good, man. Like, he worked his butt off. Those two had great chemistry, and it worked. It was something that really felt special, and it really did work. I mean, that was a great way to cap off the year for Cody, and him just feuding for the TNT title. I'm going to say this right now. That open challenge for the TNT title was great. It gave us, Eddie Kingston. It gave us Ricky Starks. So, I mean.
And let's not forget his matches with Sammy Guevara.
The Sammy Guevara matches I did enjoy, too. I mean, for the first match on Dynamite being him and Guevara and just all over, they also had great chemistry because of the fluidity, the high-octane aerial assault, and they just gelled well.
Oh, yeah. The last match he had in AEW with Sammy was incredible. The ladder match.
Okay, he's got to stop doing, like, those splashes because he keeps landing on his ass, that being Sammy Guevara. He's got to stop that because he keeps coming up short on this shit.
Yeah.
But it was good. I did enjoy the ladder match. Like, everything that he did, I mean, around this time period, a lot of people kind of defined it as, he's in the Codyverse, if you will, because if you're new coming into AEW, feud with Cody. I mean, Malachi Black, we got, a lot of people that were new that came in to feud with Cody. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, the Andrade feud.
Cesaro had that in WWE. Ziggler had it in WWE.
Yes, but that was the thing with that because, the AEW fans and how they felt was just like, oh, they're going to make him feud with Cody, derp. I'm like, he's the guy to feud with. They do this.
He's got a name.
He's got a name. Like, I don't understand why. Anyway, we'll get to them in a second. But what were your thoughts on them? We go into 2021. I mean, again, the TNT title's there. He's having matches with Darby Allin. He's in the Codyverse. He's in there with All Ego Ethan Page. He's constantly wrestling on the grind. What were your thoughts on the feud with, we'll go into this particular one, the one with Lance Archer and Jake Roberts getting in his face and then him going after Cody? What were your thoughts on him and Lance Archer?
Fantastic.
I think with him and Jake in the ring, because it represents the Rhodes family and Jake the Snake Roberts and two great talkers, it was so good, dude.
I still say Jake Roberts is ahead of his time.
Oh, he is. And I mean, here's my thing. And I talk to you about this because we see in more Jake now. Lance Archer, him and the Righteous came out of nowhere. Like, why are they a thing now?
I don't know, but you know what? Honestly, I like it.
It fits their gimmicks. And I like the Righteous. I like Vincent. I like Dutch. I think they work very hard. And I know they're doing their thing on Ring of Honor.
It's a shame that, Bray got sick because, they were supposed to be part of that.
Yes. And I mean, the fact that we didn't get Bray Wyatt and Karrion Kross at WrestleMania also kind of sucks because you
that's incredible.
Yes, we would have had Alexa involved, Scarlett, like that would have been awesome. But you know, it was what it was. God rest his soul. But yeah, man. No, so 2021 gave us a lot of that stuff, and Cody on the rise with the TNT title and whatnot, and him just doing his thing. And then we get to, we'll mention Malachi Black. What were your thoughts on Malachi Black comes in and his first feud is with Cody?
I liked it because Cody represented the polished wrestler, your stereotypical wrestler. Malachi Black covered in tattoos, and another guy Vince discarded because he didn't get him.
The fact that you let him his 30-day release under his NXT deal, like 30 days, and then I cannot believe they let that slip through their fingers.
Who let that happen?
A dumbass.
Oh, that's right. It was John Laurinaitis.
Yeah, he was there still at the time. Him and good old Mark Carrano.
And wouldn't you check and make sure that all your people were on at least a 90-day no compete clause?
No, because they don't give a shit about NXT. They don't give a shit about Malachi Black. That was why I thought it was so weird, because remember, he was starting to do the Dark Father thing. He was about to go into a feud with Big E, and then you're fired.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
And I will say, to his credit, I love that Malachi Black came in. And, he still had the issue with the eye covered up, because he was still selling the Seth Rollins shit.
Well, that was good subtlety right there.
I love that, because it's like he could have very easily just been normal, but he still had that character progression. And Malachi Black is somebody that could have been the next Undertaker.
Absolutely.
I don't mean like big man, because he's not all that super tall, but he could have been like the next kind of like dark, creepy character.
That's my thing too, because you have a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
They don't find the influx of them, and they let him slip through their fingers. And I'm going to say right now, if he ever decided to go back, he would be great. You know what I'm saying? In WWE, and again, under the Triple H regime, because Triple H saw what Aleister Black was, unlike, like you mentioned, Vince McMahon did. And towards the end of his WWE run, he was kind of floundering. He did the thing with Kevin Owens, and he did the thing with Seth, but really nothing of any merit. And I mean, the Bobby Lashley thing. Remember, he had that match with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania for no reason.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, if Mr. Lashley and I go and have a fight, let's see what happens. I'm like, bro, you're trying to make sense out of a match that doesn't make any sense. You just announced it randomly that you're going to fight at WrestleMania, and it made no sense.
Wild times.
First of all, you also had nobody because of the pandemic, because nobody wants to get sick and go there. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, yeah.
Well, I think also, if you think about it, like,
yeah,
that year, I think there were matches that were booked, were announced, but the people that were like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Well, Roman and Goldberg is the prime example, because Roman's like, yeah, I'm not jeopardizing.
Roman had, was a cancer survivor, and
yeah, he's like, no, I'm not jeopardizing my health and my family for this.
And then we randomly get Braun Strowman, which, okay,
all right,
that was the most random freaking person.
Yeah, I mean, it gave us Braun and Bray, but that was a plus. We got Braun and Bray from it, so that was pretty cool.
No, we got the Firefly Funhouse match, which was so much fun.
And people, if you're not a traditional wrestling fan and you just think everything has to be done in the ring, you hated it. But for the story of it, it made sense, and it was
exactly. True. It was something different, which I kind of wonder, had the pandemic not happened, what it would have been.
I mean, that's my thing too. I mean, where would we have gone with? I mean, we'll talk about Cody here. Where would he have gone with what they were doing? And it's just, you never know. And you never know where WWE was going to go. Where Roman Reigns winning the title from Goldberg and still being the big dog, then the tribal chief would have never happened.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there. And I mean, for me, and I look at it from the Cody perspective in today's form, you go from doing what you did in 2020, kind of being uneventful, except for the Brody Lee match. Then we get to 2021. Like, for me, dude, like we talk about the Malachi Blacks, we talk about the Sammy Guevara's, which that was his last thing before WWE. But for me, dude, the MJF match, like him and MJF did the damn thing.
Oh yeah, I think it just goes to show when you have two people that understand wrestling, that understand the business as they do, you can't get any better.
No, and well, that was my thing too, because like he learned a lot. MJF did from Cody. That's his mentor. And that's why I look at a person like that and I'm just like, man, if you're just sitting on the learning tree, you're adapting and growing. To see where he is now is absolutely amazing. But you got to thank Cody for giving him a chance, booking him on the first All In against Matt Cross, M-Dog 20, Son of Havoc, whatever you want to call them. Like, that's huge kudos to Cody for seeing something in.
And, I look at, they're two guys that understand wrestling. You look at all the people that Cody brought into AEW and, that advised Tony Khan saying, hey, these people. He brought in Sammy. He brought in MJF. So many freaking people. And, having that feud allowed MJF to turn into the greatest heel in wrestling.
I mean, when you have the stamp of approval and Cody puts you over, and then you get into feuds with like Jericho, Moxley, and then you saw your quick ascension to the world title.
Oh, yeah.
That just says something for what we really have gotten from him. And for especially since as we're recording this, folks, it's the day after Full Gear. Him and Jay White tore it down for 30 minutes. Oh, yeah. And now we're going to continue on that grind. And I mean, his next pay-per-view is going to be in his hometown, Long Island, New York, Nassau Coliseum, baby, December 30th.
Against possibly Samoa Joe.
Which that rematch is going to be epic. And do you have Samoa Joe take the title off of him there? No.
I honestly, I think it all depends on, is he staying? Is he going? What's going on?
I mean, I'm
not convinced either way. I think it's at this point, it's 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Well, my thing is, I would not have him lose in the hometown. I would not have him lose in Long Island.
I mean, that's a Vince McMahon thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, do you think this is where we finally find out who the devil is in the schmaz?
If not before.
Right. I mean, there's going to be a schmaz, you know that. But MJF and Samoa Joe, too, sign me up.
I mean, and they haven't said exactly when that match is happening. I mean, it could be happening on Dynamite, in the next week or two.
Well, first of all, Tony Khan does like to blow his load a lot, so I can definitely see that happening.
I think what you do is you have a couple options. You do that match earlier. I think there's Winter is Coming happens before.
Yep.
The next pay-per-view. You could do it then. And then at Winter is Coming, you have whoever's the devil. And then they face MJF at, in Long Island. And if you really want somebody to get over as a heel, because MJF is your hottest babyface right now. Let's be real here. That you have them beat him.
I like it. I think for me, I'm just on the ride to see where this goes. I think that's again the beauty of storytelling and what Cody is about with the story. Again, see what I did there, folks. With the storytelling, like he does the MJF feud, Aleister Black, everything from 2019 to 2021. One of the things I did also want to incorporate here with the AEW run, we mentioned Sammy Guevara towards the end. Now, so what do you guys want to talk about? He called that like his resignation letter, because if you recall, this ties into it. Everybody's booing him. They are tired of Cody Rhodes. They are tired of him being the squeaky clean babyface, the white meat babyface, if you will. What were your thoughts on just the crowd kind of like turning on Cody Rhodes, and Cody's like, hey, I'm the one who helped build this company. And everybody's just like, you know what? No, F you.
I think it's... I've got a love-hate relationship with wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think they should have turned Cody heel? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole, you want to boo me? Okay, fine. I'll give you something to boo.
It's like when The Rock had the Die Rocky Die, and then he became Rocky Maivia in the Nation of Domination. Like, come on now.
Oh, yeah. And I think they paint because it was the biggest mistake they made was the whole, you lose to Jericho, you can't challenge for the title ever again.
Well, I think what was his mindset? Like, yeah, I don't want to be that guy that constantly just goes for the title or holds the title. Like, then what the hell are you going to do? You're just going to be stuck in TNT.
He didn't want to be the Triple H.
Right, but you're also painting yourself into a corner of being in the TNT title purgatory.
They could have easily booked that, outbooked that.
Mm-hmm. They could have, but they didn't. And I mean, it gave us what we got. And I mean, one of his final feuds there was with Andrade, which was a crazy feud, and he went through a flaming effing table. What were your thoughts of the Andrade feud?
Again, I'm an Andrade guy.
I've liked him since NXT too, so I'm right there with you.
Oh yeah. So I liked it, and remember, this was right around the time when we started to hear rumblings that everything was not not all good there, and that Cody is where his contract was coming up, and is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? What's he gonna do? And he ended up leaving.
My thing is just going back to Andrade for a second, like, here's a guy who came in NXT.
Oh, yeah.
He was a babyface and did not get over as a babyface. But once you turned him heel and you put Zelina Vega with him, he was over like $1 million. That guy, I mean, he's doing his thing now at CJ Perry. That guy is money.
Oh, yeah.
You can work. I mean, we see a lot of great talents, much like Santos Escobar now in WWE as the heel. I like it. I thought the feud, really generated a lot of the hardcore style and just Cody going out there and going balls to the wall. That's what I've always liked about Cody. It doesn't matter what he is, whether you're cheering or booing him. The man can sell his ass off and he can make you look good. But also at the same time, he makes you invested in what he does. You can feel. We always talk about feel with Cody. He makes you feel, man.
I mean, you want prime example of this? I don't know we're jumping ahead. Look at his Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins.
Oh, we're about to get to that. Yes, the Hell in a Cell match. If that doesn't tell you how tough Cody is, I don't know what does.
But I remember this was right around the time when you were hearing like I said, you were hearing the rumors that Cody may be leaving, and then people are like, "Oh no, he's gonna stay. He's gonna stay. He's just taking time off." And then I think if I remember right, he put out a statement actually saying that my contract is up. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Which led to, so what do you want to talk about in that infamous promo? But that was my thing too. It's like, here's my thing. I mean, were you shocked that he and Brandy left? Not really, to be completely honest with you.
Not really. I part of me still thinks that something went on there that we don't know about.
I mean, Cody's been nothing but nice and praising the company since he left. He hasn't really buried it like a lot of people would.
Well, no, I don't necessarily mean that, but the fact that you'll hear stories that say it was money, it was how I was booked. That no side is saying anything.
It's interesting to me because I think he wore a lot of hats there, and I think he kind of saw the and I'll just put it like this: people will always say, "Remember how AEW was the alternative, right? AEW was the alternative. The alternative. It's not the alternative anymore. When you start bringing in the Moxleys, the Danielsons, and all these people from WWE, you're not the alternative anymore. You're doing what WCW did.
They're just another wrestling company at this point,
right? You're not the alternative anymore." And I think Cody kind of saw the direction it was going, and he was like, "Ugh," you know what I'm saying? I think it's time to go. I think it's time to go. And I mean,
it's that old SpongeBob meme that I'm a head out.
I'm a head out. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I mean, also around this time, CM Punk would come in the summer of 2021. So, I mean, yeah, and Cody was leaving. Punker was coming in. Obviously, they never had any problems. But, yeah, it was interesting to see Cody leave and Punk come in. And now CM Punk may be coming back to the WWE
and,
too.
People said, well, he left because CM Punk was coming in.
No, it had nothing to do with it.
I mean, Cody had even gone on record to say, yeah, I've never had issues with him.
That's the thing too, man. It's so interesting to see how people.
One of the few people that didn't have issues with CM Punk.
Right. Well, here's my thing on that side I'll say this briefly about Punk. Notice how anybody that's not in the elite clique that's not named Max, Matt, Nick, Brandon, or anybody of that nature has no problem with
Or
it.
Kenneth.
Or Kenneth. Well, I'm going to exclude Kenny Omega because I think Kenny Omega is not as bad as, the Cucamonga kids, to put it bluntly. And I don't hate the Young Bucks. I really don't when I say that because I've seen their PWG work. I've seen the Ring of Honor work. I've seen the Impact work. I've seen the New Japan work. But they act like children. They act like children. And the reason why I say that is when they were elected as VPs, here's my thing. Don't put wrestlers as the vice presidents of your company. But Tony Khan will do that because, he's easily persuaded. And I'm going to put it like that. And I look at someone like a Tony Khan, who we've seen what he's about. And do I think he's a dumb person? No, but I think he's easily persuaded. He wants to be that fanboy that, every day is the best of his life. Oh my God, I got a wrestling company. But you're almost 5 years into this company.
Unless his emotions kind of control him.
Yeah. You can't be, oh my God, I'm still in a wrestling company and that everything's great when not everything is great. You know what I'm saying? That's my problem. I think Cody also, to apply it to this, Cody could see what was happening. And I think, like you said, it's time to go. I'm going to head out. This is not the direction or vision that I had for the company.
I think at this point, it was also before, the influence of the EVPs was waning.
Yeah.
Tony Khan was getting more comfortable in who he was and taking more, control on things, which rightfully, yes, he should have. It's common sense. It's what you do. If you, and you're, on Saturday, you lean on them, but then you kind of start to feel, okay, I'm learning. Okay, this is what it is. I think, he made some decisions that, Cody and Kenny may not. And again, let's realize
we're not there, so we don't know, but we're only just trying to assume and think of what went down. If we
up
were
until then, yeah. Kenny and the Bucks really hadn't been on TV all that much. I mean,
well, the
Bucks had that brief run in TNA,
right?
But on global national television, Cody.
Well, my thing too is if you watch like the program and how they were all kind of intertwined together with the Elite and whatnot, like Omega and Young Bucks were like over here, and Cody was just doing his own thing. Like they never were here. Everybody was just here.
I think Cody was on more of the business side of it.
Yeah.
Whereas, Kenny and the Bucks were more like wrestling, like the talent aspect.
Right. I mean, well, I'm going to say this right now. Cody, if you look at all of those guys, like in a lineup, right, of how they were perceived and how they looked, Cody was the only one that actually looked like a VP.
Yeah.
I'm putting it like that. And again, this is not shit talking the Young Bucks, and I'm not trying to, but I'm being honest.
Absolutely not.
No, I'm being honest here. Like he looked like the only one that looked like a VP. Like he wanted to get shit done. Like he wore the suit, he wore the tie, and he was serious. The Young Bucks just wear their merch and think like, we're the hottest thing going. And since I spread, that's my issue. And you know what I'm saying? Like the thing that I have to say though about it, with the exit of Cody Rhodes from AEW, those fans piss me the fuck off. Because they're burning his shit. They're acting like when Hulk Hogan joined the NWO, throwing this shit, just spitting in his face. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? And I think you said it, Daniel, as well. If he went back tomorrow, y'all would be, cheering him.
Oh, yeah. Like, if he were to show up in AEW again, they would cheer him. And, these same people that are cheering MJF right now, saying the greatest thing since sliced bread, cheering Omega, the Bucks, if any of them went to WWE, they would boo them. They would crucify them.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, man.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Thank you, CM Punk. That's the fickleness of fans, and that just is what irks me and gets me about people like that. I'm like, first of all, the man made a decision. If that's the best decision for his family, let the man make his decision.
Yeah. And it's money.
It's money, you know what I'm saying? And he had a lot left to do in WWE. And I'm going to say this right now. If you sum it up, like we mentioned the matches and the feuds and how much he did for the company for the 3-4 years, man, with AEW, I think he did have a very good run there. He made a lot of people. He had a lot of great matches. He put on a great moments, but he was there to make the company what it is and help it be established.
Also, let's look at this fact.
Go ahead.
AEW's been around, 5 years now, give or take?
Well, 2018 was the All In, but it originally got the ground going with TV in 2019. So
Okay,
this could
so
be
let's say
5.
let's say around 5-ish years when it
Yeah,
that time to now. Um, they've gotten bigger. They're doing great things. Love it.
yeah.
To the average person, WWE is still the bigger name.
You,
It's the household brand.
right.
It's your Coke, your Pepsi, you know, name anything. It's what people know.
Right. And I think for me, could it also be just a stance of just how the different, first of all, there's a variety in wrestling. That's wonderful.
Oh, absolutely.
WWE for me, and I watch it, and you can agree to disagree with me on this. It's more storyline driven based with how we
Exactly.
get there. And AEW is bangers, just focusing on the matches. That's pretty much what it is. Like, it's like how Dave Meltzer views New Japan. It's like, it's just all about the matches. Like, let me ask you, you look, yeah,
I think we're getting that's been changing over the last, I would say, 6 months to a year, maybe a little bit
okay.
longer. We're getting more long-term storyline. For example, look at Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega, that whole feud.
I mean, for me, that's a great example. But I mean, MJF and I could say the MJF the Devil thing is getting there, and I think we're getting more. The problem that I had with a lot of the stories, like for this pay per view, like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're gonna do this. Like, I like the MJF Jay White storyline, I do, and I also like the fact that we got a little bit more with how Julia Hart gave that stuff to Sky Blue the Mist, and it changed her personality and her overall aura. I like that. You're seeing more subtleties and intricacies and nuances, but there's always going to be that stigma of, okay, he just wants to focus on the matches because it's the Dave Meltzer mindset of just the matches and the 5 stars and who he caters to. I think, like you mentioned, I agree. There's different stories and subtleties that are going on in AEW, but you could see it's more wrestling driven than stories. Not saying the stories aren't there, but it's more wrestling driven. But I think you make a great point.
And also, like, we got to look at it also this way. It's bleeding onto the fucking fans. You know, I'm sorry, but when you're saying, I've seen so many fans like, oh, 5-star match this, 5-star match that, 6-star. Not every match is 5 stars.
Well, tell Uncle Dave that. Tell Uncle Dave that.
And does it matter? You can have great matches, but if you're not making money, what the fuck is the point?
But
With anything in life, any job, I don't care if you're flipping fucking burgers at McDonald's. I don't care if you're working, wherever. If you are not at some place to make money, what's the point?
See, that's what gets me worked up about it, too. And first of all, I just want to say, folks, if you want to see a civilized discussion without this is what we do. We're not going to curse each other out because of our differences. This is not like on Twitter with AEW sucks or WWE sucks. No, we're going to have a healthy discussion of
The
what it goes.
That is Twitter.
The hellscape that is X, Twitter. I refuse to call it X, Daniel. I refuse to call it X. I cannot do it. So, agreed. Because I think a lot of people at the end of the day forget, it is about making money. We want to draw money in wrestling. It's not just about the bangers. Draw money. I'm going to say,
you're telling me that Texas Chainsaw Massacre Deathmatch was a banger? Really?
What, with Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy? Even the friggin' one that we saw on Wednesday with friggin' the Kota Ibushi on the bike.
Now, I will say, folks, if you have not seen Full Gear 2023,
yeah,
check out Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland.
A lot of people like that match, the death match. Yeah,
that was phenomenal.
Well, the fact that we had the blood going in his mouth was kind of grotesque for me. I'm like, okay, that's new, that's different. We're gonna do that. Okay, all right.
Nick Gage would be a fan of that match.
Well, first of all, Nick Gage would be friggin' blushing if he watched that match. And I didn't hate it either. I mean, the influence of him going into his house and whatnot, it fit the story of where we were going, the blood feud. So,
yeah. And we're getting more storytelling in AEW, which I know I've seen some of the diehards don't like it. They want a lot of the diehards want New Japan, but in America.
Well, here's the thing. we both watch New Japan, right? You like New Japan, I like New Japan. What's the difference? It's the niche audience. Like, does everybody watch New Japan? No, but they want to appeal to the niche audience, the wrestling purists that like the Uncle Daves that want to watch for the 5-star matches. And I mean, if you look at it, what's like the general consensus with New Japan, right? So the main event of this Wrestle Kingdom is Sonata and Naito, right? So that's for the title. Okay. Obviously, we're going to get Okada and Bryan Danielson, which I think Bryan Danielson's nuts. Hopefully, his orbital bone is healed and whatnot. And you have Moxley on there with Dave Finlay and all that good stuff. But here's my thing:
whatever that new title is going to be, which rumors are that they're bringing back the Intercontinental title.
I'm okay with that. Can we just switch the IWGP title because they made that into shit? I mean, we talked about this. That title is
the IWGP Heavyweight Divas Championship.
It's ugly. It looks
ugly. Like a Divas title.
It's not even ugly.
Stupid.
It's not even ugly. It's ugly.
It's
fugly. Point being, the storytelling in Japan, what mostly is it? It's G1, go to Wrestle Kingdom, go for the title, and either you're going to see Naito in there, Okada, or a mixture of, whoever, or Jay White. It's almost like the same thing. You can kind of say that's a bit repetitive in its own right too, right? Because you're kind of seeing the same flow and crop of people.
Okada's the John Cena of New Japan.
Yes, or you put Tanahashi in there. You can include Tanahashi.
But you don't really see a lot of gaijins. I think is that the phrase?
I think it's the gaijins, yeah.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah,
I think now there are rumors that Okada may be heading out.
And again, when we talk about this with New Japan folks, we're not bad mouthing it. We're just being observant. Okada going out. Yeah, I mean, I think WWE has that interest in there, but it's like, oh, well, they should not go because of what they do with Japanese talents. Okay, I'm going to exclude Akira Tozawa from that. First of all, Tozawa's getting TV time. He's on NXT. He's in there with Alpha Academy, and it's funny.
He's making money.
And he's making money, so leave the guy alone.
Provide for his family.
Right, leave him alone. Just like he's having fun. He's a great athlete. Leave him alone. He's doing his thing. Nakamura is what he's doing now with just like talking in Japanese and doing those eerie promos. That's what we should have got from Nakamura a long time ago. Like, I like what they're doing with Nakamura.
He's back on TV.
Yeah. And like, if this was Vince McMahon still there, he would still be doing no speak English.
And not only no speak English. Like,
yes,
they're playing the racial stereotype. That was what Vince did.
Oh, he's Japanese.
I could go. There's going to be a season 3 episode on Vince McMahon.
Oh, there is. That's definitely coming up with Vince McMahon episodes for season 3. But with the season finale of season 2, and this is what we do, folks. We go all over the place. We tell you what we like. We tell you what we don't. And we are almost done with finishing this story because after he leaves AEW, he comes back to WWE at WrestleMania. The original plan, if they were not going to get Cody, because Cody wanted that Kingdom theme, goddammit, and he got it. Do you remember what the original plan, who Seth Rollins' opponent would have been if they didn't get Cody?
I don't.
Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon was originally going to be the opponent if they didn't get Cody.
No.
Yep. What it do? I would not want to see Seth Rollins and Shane McMahon. Oh, thank God we got Cody. That was a great return at WrestleMania. He came out to Kingdom, which he's used now in Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, AEW, everywhere. What were your thoughts on Cody Rhodes' return? And that match with Seth Rollins was epic.
Oh, honestly, every match they had was good.
I mean, from what you had there to the follow-up pay-per-view, which I believe is Extreme Rules. Oh, no, what the hell was the pay-per-view? It was like Payback or something, right? The one that happened after WrestleMania. Yeah, whatever. So they had that return match, which was good. And then we get to Hell in a Cell. And
up until then, like the day of, there was the report that Cody had torn his pectoral.
Yes.
And they thought, well, he's going to come out. He's not going to do the match, and they're going to replace him. And then he comes out in his gear, and you're like, well, is this legit? Did this really happen? He takes the jacket off, and oh my God.
Yeah. And you can see the people gasp, like,
You can
Oh,
see Rollins even kind of like,
ugh.
because I don't think he'd seen that up until then.
No, he didn't know. He didn't tell him. He didn't know the extremity of the injury. Ugh.
And ooh, like,
And you
and
gained a lot of respect for Cody after that.
you thought, oh, it's just gonna be a quick thing. Rollins is gonna get the win, quick
No,
win.
nope.
It was a full on Hell in a Cell match, and it was like they were
Brutal.
inside the ring, out of the ring, like
Sledgehammers, tables, everything.
yeah,
I give him credit. Like I give him the highest of highs and just respect and a lot of praise for
yeah.
going through that.
Like if that's not a love for wrestling, I don't know what is. I don't know a lot of people that would have done that. Like, and nobody would have blamed Cody if he had pulled out and said, "I can't."
Right. I think the only one critique that a lot of people gave that feud is that Cody won all 3 matches.
And again, it is that was that a Cody thing? No,
No,
because if Vince says it, if Vince tells you, "Hey, you're going, Cody, you're going over," or Seth, we want you to drop, lose to Cody all through, you do it.
and also besides the fact that we got banger matches, the story made sense. And just Seth was the epitome of a dick heel. Cody was the sympathetic babyface. It worked, man, and it went to great levels of what we saw early 2022. Then for him to just grind back to 2023 and the Royal Rumble coming in at number 30, and him and Gunther being the last two.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. And he eliminates Gunther and he wins the Royal Rumble. What we saw there, and I'm going to say this right now, if Gunther is not the world heavyweight champion within the next either year or two, that man needs to be a world champion sooner rather than later.
Gunter, to me, he is somebody that lost a ton of weight.
Mhm.
He's great on the mic.
Yep.
He can play the foreign heel. He can play, you can do whatever.
Mhm.
He's had great matches with Ciampa. He had the matches with Chad Gable.
Chad
So
Gable.
many
Yep.
people. He can have good matches with anybody.
I
And
equate
we're
that with
probably
Ilya.
getting, we're getting Gunter versus Miz, which I think is going to be
People,
good.
well, people were shitting on that because, like, oh God, it's the Miz. I'm like, first of all, that was a great promo that he cut on him, and also he can be serious. Like he's the one who really put a lot of prestige to the Intercontinental Championship coming back. And also, first of all, it's different. We've never seen Gunther and the Miz, and I think it's going to be good at what they're trying to tell with that story. Like people are crapping, oh Zoe Stark
Yeah.
against Rhea. First of all, Zoe Stark has worked her butt off to get where she's at now, and
I mean,
we've never seen Rhea and Zoe. Good.
it looks like, honestly, they keep teasing the split of Imperium, which I think is going to be a mistake.
Mhm.
I would not be shocked if ultimately they end up at WrestleMania doing Vinci versus Kaiser versus Gunter.
Like Randy Orton, Cody, and Teddy.
And then that is how they get the IC title off of Gunter.
That would be interesting. First of all, that would be
You
a
would
great.
have, and honestly,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Kaiser.
They see a lot in him. And I mean, first of all, his boo is doing her thing in NXT, that being the one and only Tiffany Stratton. Like Kaiser has it. There's just something about that dude. He has charisma, he has the look, and he's got it. You
Great as a
can't.
heel. I wonder if he can get over as a babyface.
He's too good of a heel right now. I think that's a slow transition.
Absolutely. Give
Yeah.
him some time, and look at Tommaso Ciampa as a heel.
Yep.
One of the
Uh,
absolute best in NXT history.
And the only thing I other add, like I mentioned before, like Zoe Stark again, people complaining, like, oh, why? I'm like, it's different. Also, number 2, Rhea didn't pin her in the Fatal 5-Way. She pinned Shayna, and it works. You know what I'm saying? Are you looking forward to Rhea and Zoe Stark?
Hey, anytime I get to see mommy,
It's this man over here. Yes. Mommy's always on top.
I have been a mark for Rhea Ripley since NXT UK. You can even attest to that, Mike. You can attest to that.
Yes, I can.
When
Well,
people were saying she sucks, and I said, no, no, no.
no, she's going to be a star.
She's it. Haven't I been saying that?
Yes, but my thing too is like I love the transformation because when she was in the first Mae Young Classic, she was just this smiley, long blonde haired girl, and then you get to the second one and she's looking all like blonde and she's more jacked, and I'm like, where the hell did you come from? You know?
She was even said she was trying to be a Charlotte player.
Yeah, and it didn't work. Like you needed to branch out. Like when she was going against Toni Storm, I think a lot of people wanted Toni to become the first ever NXT Women's UK champ. I'm like, no, give it to Rhea. She's a great heel. Give it to Rhea.
And they did, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, man. Like, I'm looking forward as we're recording this, folks. Survivor Series is next week with War Games. Adam Pearce and his War Games.
No.
You
don't
like
get to say that, Adam Pearce.
Yeah. That's going to be good. And that'll influx with Cody here, what we're talking about as we're almost done finishing the story. This is where finishing the story comes into fruition as we get the match with Roman at WrestleMania, which I enjoyed it. Rubber chicken. So Sikoa comes in and interferes, and Roman gets the win. Should Cody have won it at WrestleMania?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then we move on to not only the fact that I did enjoy the Cody and build up for that, and I can't wait till we get it again, which we're going to, but
absolutely
the Brock Lesnar feud just out of nowhere attacks him, and then I guess it's just a build to get more out of Cody. I like the matches. I thought the SummerSlam match was excellent. Saw when we saw Backlash was good. Everything that they've done, and a lot of people were like, "Where did this come from?" But Cody and Brock, number one, different, but also number two, it also goes into you're the nightmare, no, I'm the nightmare. So it included a lot of subtleties and intricacies there.
Yeah, and I will say this. Up until I think it was Money in the Bank, Roman hadn't been pinned.
No,
you have him get pinned to Jay. Honestly, I wouldn't have done that. I would have had Jay pin solo.
Yeah, and keep Roman fresh, and then have Jay pin him at SummerSlam.
I would have had Roman not get pinned until Mania 40.
That would have been huge, man. But
there's the rumor. Rumor has it that Roman is losing at Mania, and then he's done.
I mean, do you blame him? Do you blame him though?
There's nothing left to do.
No, and he's been in there and on the main roster for what, 12 years now? Going on 12 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like let the man do his thing. Let him rest. Let him take a break. Do what he is. And also if he comes back, you make him a babyface.
Yeah. Have him get beaten down by Solo the night after Mania.
And then that leads to Roman and Solo when Roman comes back. Like it works. It works with the story. So to speak.
Have Roman come back at like SummerSlam.
Yeah. Like he did with the original run when he became the tribal chief. Yeah.
And then you have Solo as the new Paul Heyman guy. Because I'm sorry, I don't like Solo on the mic.
You don't like him when he talks, like very briefly? No. Okay.
He's more intimidating
when he doesn't talk.
That ice cold stare.
I mean, when he talks, he's very soft spoken, and it doesn't sound intimidating.
Just the look.
Yeah, the look works better. I mean, him squashing Cena and doing what he did there, not really squashing him, but dominating him at the end. They see something in Solo. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be good, man. And I mean, we mentioned the Brock feud, and then we get to where we are now with Cody and Jay and the Judgment Day. And we got the Yeet Dust, Cody and Jay and Seth and Sammy against the Judgment Day. I'm going to tell you straight up, I've been enjoying this Judgment Day feud, man. The match with Damian Priest was excellent at Crown Jewel. Like, what they're doing now with Cody has been really doggone good. Yeah. And also, I have to put this over too as well, not only the storytelling there, but the storytelling of him helping out LA Knight because he's still got some beef with the Bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's involved in two storylines.
Randomly showing up on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a Raw superstar. Oh, it's okay when Cody does it, but if Jay shows up and attacks his brother, Nick Aldis can't have that.
First of all, that was great because Nick's like, you got to leave. You got to nothing. Oh, you're not just going to do nothing. Just you got to leave. Oh, okay, Nick. Sure. You got to leave. You got to leave.
Which personally, I was kind of hoping we would get a Raw versus SmackDown War Games match.
Yeah.
And both the Raw GM, SmackDown GM are former NWA World Heavyweight Champions. Put them in the ring.
I don't know, man, but Well, Triple H likes that stuff, and I think we could definitely see that in the future. And I mean,
Maybe next year.
yeah, I mean, I would just let it
And hey,
ride.
William Regal will be back, so we can get him to shout "War
War
Games."
games. I think for me right now, and I think we talk about this a lot, because people like to just get all up in the moment and stuff. Like, let it ride, people. Don't
Yeah,
automatically push that. Let it ride. And I think the ride is going to take us to amazing stuff with Mania with Cody and Roman again, and Jimmy versus Jay. And
supposedly it's going to be a last man standing match at Mania. We've never had that in the main event.
no, I mean that would be cool. There's
Or
so
I've
many.
heard that. I've heard maybe an I Quit match.
Yeah, I mean, you also got Rhea and Becky. I think we're finally going to blow that off at Mania. I think would be cool.
We're probably going to get Jade versus Charlotte.
That would. You see, that's why I like this, man. Just because like there's so many options you don't know, and that's what's great about watching the product. And I mean, for me, I'll put this out there. Like the only thing with Cody, like we mentioned, like coming back in 2023, like you mentioned 2022, right? And then he takes time off. We're in 2023. We go from Roman, we go from Brock, and we mentioned the Judgment Day. Like, what were your thoughts on? I mean, it was brief, Dan. I mean, very brief. But what were your thoughts on the brief mini feud with him and Dominic?
I like it.
I had no issue with it too. And everybody's like, oh, Cody goes from AEW to wrestling Dominic. Dominic is one of the most over characters in WWE right now. He
And
has.
here's the thing: they're cheering Dominic.
Yes.
They're
They
going
are.
to pipe in booze for him.
No. No. It's just. What I like about it too is like people were complaining like Dragon Lee left AEW to go to feud with Dominic. Like the Dragon Lee Dominic matches have been excellent. Like
And here's the thing, folks: Dragon Lee's already on the main roster.
he had he,
He
went
was in NXT for a cup of coffee.
they taught him TV time and how to work TV, and then he brought him up to the main roster.
They
This
looked
is
into they're like, "No, you're ready, dude. You're ready now."
right, and that's my thing too. To go on your point, which you said so beautifully, my friend. This is what Sin Cara could have been, the original one, because people are like,
No,
oh,
it wouldn't have been.
yeah, but he should have went to NXT first. They shouldn't have put him on the main roster so quick.
Yeah.
And that's why people, when they were talking about Mystico and Rocky Romero, like, oh, that was great. I don't know why WWE didn't see anything. Have you seen his Botchamania compilation? He couldn't
His
do WWE.
debut against Sheamus, where he biffed the entrance.
Yes, and almost landed on his neck. Here's the difference, folks. That's a Triple A style match. He couldn't do WWE style. He just knows Triple A style. Not that that's a bad thing,
No, it's perfectly fine.
but he couldn't get into the use to the WWE system. They WWE guys you.
I mean, I think that we're seeing Dragon Lee, doing as well as he is on SmackDown. We have Santos Escobar, and main feud. I think what Triple H is trying to do is he's trying to show talent that, hey, this isn't the old days. This isn't, the old regime. This is different. So that maybe guys like Roosh, when his contract with AEW comes up,
Mhm.
maybe he wouldn't think, hey,
Yeah, but that's my thing too. It's like we're
and
showcasing. Yeah.
even we go back before that. Gunter went from being, I think it was number 2 in the Royal Rumble,
Yep.
lasting the whole way through. Greatest longest reigning IC champion of all time.
Mhm.
Gunter is going to be in the Hall of Fame, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because the mat is sacred.
Well, that's my thing too. Is just the fact of the matter is Triple H is showing you, like with Rhea versus with Gunther and Miz, different stuff. This is who we have for the future. This is what you were introducing to the future. And again, I'll equate this with AEW. Ric Flair, Sting, Adam Copeland.
You know they're going to do Ric Flair versus Sting.
That's my point. They're
They're
focusing
going to do it. Folks, you may hate me for it. They're doing it. I guarantee you. I would not be shocked if that's Sting's last match.
That was my point. Like they're focusing on generational talent. Here, AEW is signing Ric Flair, and you're focusing with Sting and Adam Copeland. And no disrespect to those guys, especially Adam Copeland and Sting, but Ric Flair being there, he should not be there. Tony is in 1989 when Ric Flair and Sting had that 45-minute match. That's what he sees when he looks at Ric Flair, and he wants to do it to fulfill his childhood fantasy, which he should not do. But he's gonna.
Ric Flair does have a benefit as a manager.
He does, absolutely.
That match, the tag match with Andrade versus
Jeff Jarrett and Jay
Jeff
Lethal.
Jarrett and Jay Lethal. That match should have never happened.
That was god awful.
It was
You
hard
got
to watch.
props to Jeff Jarrett for carrying that, and Jay Lethal.
And Andrade, for that matter, too.
Right. Well, please don't have him wrestle again, Tony. I know you love you some 1989 NWA WCW.
And I do too.
I do too, but don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I think, to wrap this all up and put a bow on it, finish the story.
Yeah.
Did Cody finish the story?
Ooh, I like where you went with the segue there. Yes.
But folks, only time's going to tell.
Whew. I mean, Daniel, I gotta say, man, we went first of all, this one over here we went all over the place. It's what we do, folks. We'll eventually segue and we'll get back to the point, but we love talking wrestling and we appreciate you listening to us talk wrestling to you. And that completes season 2 of Uncaged. But we have one more episode, and then we'll talk to you about what we have for the season 3 premiere, because Dan knows that I hate him. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. After we put this show out, yeah, Daniel's going to go hardcore on the AEW Fight Forever video game. What can we expect, Daniel?
You'll see.
Okay, fair enough. So that'll be our next show. And then season 3 debuts. And we'll probably take a little break over the holiday after this one because, folks, Christmas time is coming. And we hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. As we're recording this, we hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy with your family.
And if you aren't subscribing to his channel,
yeah,
where you can see our faces, then may you get nothing but coal in your stocking.
I like your style, Daniel Crimmins. Oh, my goodness. So, yes, subscribe to the channel.
May you get visited by Krampus.
Santa Claus.
Hey, maybe Kane can dress up.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, that was Balls Mahoney.
Yes. Balls Mahoney.
The late, great Balls Mahoney.
God rest his soul. Oh, God. Good Lord. So, yes, subscribe to the channel, Mike Larkin. Subscribe to SM Show 1, MCL92, D Crimmins 1 on the Instagram, StephenMikeShow.com, LFCFights.com, and check us out doing our thing on Max Wrestling. As we're recording this, our bouts are coming up. Me and Beer, you, Daniel, you and Dazzy and Teddy, and you and Mo against Dazzy and Corey. Tag titles, knowledge title. Daniel, thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, that's coming up. And like we mentioned, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. But before we do close this out, shall I tell the people what our season 3, episode 1 debut is?
Do tell.
We're going to be looking back, watching ECW December to Dismember 2006 on its 17-year anniversary. Yes, that show. We're going to watch it.
Last ever ECW pay-per-view.
I'm going to make Daniel watch it. And
because he hates me.
No, I do not. The 2 hours and 18 minutes of the Hardys and Eminem, the Extreme Elimination Chamber match for the ECW title. Matt Striker versus Balls Mahoney in a Strikers Rules match. Daivari versus Tommy Dreamer. Elijah Burke and Sylvester Turkai against the FBI. Kevin Thorne and Ariel against Mike Knox and Kelly Kelly. Can you feel the excitement, people?
Why do you hate me?
I know. It's okay. We're going to watch it. We're going to talk about it. I actually think I have the DVD somewhere because I got it for my birthday and I love my mother dearly. But I said to her, like, when I got it, I'm like, why did you purchase this? Why'd you buy this for me? She goes, well, but we watched that. I'm like, we hated that. My dad hated it. I remember, well, you got to also remember at the time, like, if you remember, Daniel, we're watching this live on pay-per-view. This is before the network. This is before Peacock. This is before everything. Where at the time, how much did it cost? Like what, $45? $45,
$50.
$50, yeah. And you're watching a 2 hour, 18-minute pay-per-view, and you're like, what the actual fuck?
Well, folks, tune in to find out.
For Daniel Crimmins, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you so much for listening to another edition of Uncaged. We'll see you next time, and we finish the story.